Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Russ Morrow and it's been my pleasure to act as host for this week's virtual summit brought to you by NAPW. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to the many NAPW members who are joining us today. For those of you who may not be familiar, NAPW is an online and face-to-face community made up of over 850,000 professional women who join together to cultivate valuable business connections, develop professionally, and promote themselves and their businesses. To learn more about NAPW and the many benefits of membership, please make sure to visit our website at napw.com. This afternoon's webinar, Simple Technology for Entrepreneurs, How to Market and Manage Your Business with Online Tools and Find the Right Tech Team to Implement for You, is the final webinar of our 3-day virtual summit for entrepreneurs, where over the course of 12 interactive sessions, we've offered some amazing information and guidance from experts who have provided insights on how to plan, how to launch, how to run, and how to expand your own business. Topics covered have included how to get started, how to market your business, understanding legal issues, and the benefits of using virtual professionals. So, before I introduce our guest speaker, a few housekeeping points. You'll be pleased to know that everybody is on mute, so you mustn't worry about being overheard if you cough or if you sneeze. Questions, and I'm sure there will be many. Throughout today's session, you will be able to submit written questions, and we will try to leave some time at the end of the session to answer these. Depending on the volume and depending on how we manage to get through the session, we might, of course, not get to all of the questions, but if that happens, we will make sure that we answer them via blog, by email, but we'll make sure that we communicate answers to you. And the big question, will I be able to see the presentation again if I miss something? Yes, I'm pleased to tell you that recordings of this session and all the others that have taken place over the course of the virtual summit this week will be available to view here again on the Bright Talk platform and will be emailed to you. Okay, so it's my honor to introduce our final speaker for the virtual summit. Laurie Mercer is the founder of How She Quits. After spending 20 years in corporate life, including time as a software engineer and head of a global IT division leading multi-million-dollar technology and marketing initiatives, Laurie broke free as a virtual professional. Her online marketing and technology agency, LaurieMercerCTO.com, serves small online businesses with strategy, marketing, technology, and implementation needs. Laurie created HowSheQuits.com to help other mums leverage their professional skills and build their own virtual businesses. Now, in this fascinating session, Laurie will help you in this time of rapidly changing technology and teach you what technology tools you must have, how to manage and maximize your tech budget, and how to find the right tech team to partner with you for the long term. Laurie's already presented an excellent session at the beginning of the virtual summit, and it's a pleasure to welcome you back. Laurie, thank you for joining us today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Russ. It's great to be here. I had a really good time the first time, and a warning to everybody, I went fast because there's so much content, and today is probably even heavier on content. So I'm going to get right in and get started. Learning goals. So who has ever smashed your keyboard? Like, probably not, but you've probably wanted to smash your keyboard like that over a tech challenge, right? It can be very frustrating, very overwhelming, so I'm just giving you all permission to feel that right now. What I want to do is give you a roadmap that will help you make some tech decisions quickly, help you know what's real, what's false, what you should be looking at out there, and let's just get right into it. I have a simple technology philosophy, and that is two things. One is that it's not about the tool. If you're here thinking and going, do I need a Mac or a PC? Do I need Entreport or Infusionsoft? Any question like that that leads with the tool, it's not the right question. It's really about what are your needs in your business and what's the right solution for your business. Only after you know that can you then get to the tool selection. And the second philosophy is that really you can do anything in technology. With enough time and money, you can do anything in technology, and a lot of tech people will talk you into that. But it's much, much better if you design a good process and a process that's going to work for your business, and then apply some simple, affordable technology to that. Okay? So that's the basis for all of my thought here. And a little bit about me. I had to give a plug to my roots and my origin at Ohio State, where I have a software engineering degree. Fun little fact is that I had an email address in college only because I was a software engineering major. So I graduated in '95, I'll just date myself. And it was just such a different world then. My senior engineering project was to convince the Columbus Zoo, which is a very famous national zoo here in the U.S., that they needed a website, and we designed a website for them. At the end of the day, they decided they didn't need a website, at least back then, and we moved on. But that's how far technology has really come so rapidly. I did years in corporate, many things in the tech world, many things also in the marketing and business world. And now I do, as Russ mentioned, my own really boutique consulting agency for online business, marketing, and technology. So that's enough about me. I do have those 4 lovely children that you see there, and my husband, who is a firefighter, and part of my roots in the online space started when I started a blog called firefighterwife.com. So if you know any firefighters, you can look that up. All right, let me get on into this. Okay, the challenge. We all need tech, right? You just cannot afford to have your website go down, especially if all your sales come in that way, which is where a lot of us are in our businesses right now. So a lot of people look at technology as a necessary evil, like, oh, I have to pay that tech person, I have to pay for these tech trends. But there's also a big opportunity. And the opportunity is that technology can totally transform your business. It can totally transform your ability to get your message out to the world. I love this quote that technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. So use the right technology, use the right hammer for the problem. You as the person picking the technology and designing your processes are what's most important here, and there's just such a huge opportunity to go faster and to reach more when you pick the right technology. And here's your permission to feel overwhelmed. That picture is probably pretty legit. I know you can't see it all in the little tiny words there, but I mean, that's a pretty close picture of the marketing technology landscape. So what you need to know about the technologies that you're looking at as a small business is that it's a very fragmented market. That means that lots of players, lots of different software tools. There's probably 99 different choices for everything that you're trying to implement. It's rapidly changing. Every 6 months it seems to reinvent itself. It's also very poorly supported. There's a lot of rapid startups, small teams. They just don't have support infrastructure in place for 24/7 or even in every language, for example. The integrations then, because of all those things, the integrations between these solutions, which is very important because you want your QuickBooks to talk to your Stripe account and lots of different integration tools, they start to become fragile because there's so much change at such a rapid pace. There's hidden costs, right? You think you're starting at this rate and suddenly your $20 a month tool is now $200 a month tool. What happened? And really there's a lot of young companies, and so that just sort of speaks for itself. So all of these things make it really a challenging place to be in. When you think about it that way, it actually kind of sounds miraculous that any of us are able to run a website that stays up and stays running and that we can collect leads and make sales. But I know if you're like any other business, you have a lot of breakage points there probably, and hopefully today you're going to learn some ways to avoid those risks. Okay, so here's some perspectives to be grateful. Technology now is way, way easier than it used to be. There are way more technology experts accessible to you. Literally, as you know, everything is Googleable. If you get some silly error code that has 17 digits in it and you Google it, you will probably find somebody who has already written something about that error code, and you can start being a little internet sleuth and figuring out what's going on. User friendliness of technology matters more and more and more. I mean, the software we used to put up with is just horrific, and people are really caring now about user interfaces and the user experience. And, well, I don't even have to explain why mobile is such an advancement. and high-speed internet. And that's what this graph shows. The internet connection speed as it's grown, I believe that date is, let me blow it up on my side. That is Q4 of 2008 down in the left-hand corner and up through only Q3 of 2014, right? So it's an older chart. But just think about in 2008, we never would have been streaming videos, right? Even in 2014, it was getting better, but it was still like, oh, that's going to cost a lot of money. I mean, look how rapidly we have grown. So we have a lot to be grateful for in the technology landscape. Literally, you can run your business from anywhere with today's technology. Okay, so I know a lot of you look like this lady on the left. You've tried to kind of Google things and hack your way into your website and fix some stuff that needed to be fixed, and it's just frustrating. You've probably killed an entire afternoon trying to fix something that just is not in your zone of genius. So my strategy for a small business is to start lean. Really don't over-technologize yourself. That's a new word. And to minimize the changes that you introduce and to hire experts, okay? So that's the strategy that this presentation is built on. Rule number 1 is to avoid the shiny objects, because every day in your email box there's somebody telling you that you need a new tool, you need a new training, you need to update to a new theme on your website, you now need to be able to stream video to a mobile device, you need an app. I mean, it's on and on and on. And those are a lot of times distractions, right? Because think about the perspective of where those messages are coming from. It's coming from the software companies and the marketers who want to sell you stuff. So they're obviously going to paint a picture in the best interest of them making a sale. What I want you to do as a business owner is to have really purposeful planning and design about your business, and don't just go implement a technology tool because, hey, it's time to do it, but just really think about like, hey, we're going to expand our number of contacts in our database, and we're really going to ramp up our sales effort. So should we graduate from a Google Sheet method of tracking prospects into maybe a Salesforce.com system or not? Any questions you guys have, go ahead and type them in the queue. I'll try to keep an eye on them, especially if I'm going too fast or you want me to go back over something. What I want to do is categorize your primary business technology needs, because that seems to help with the overwhelm. So on the left is your business need, and on the right then is a category of technology that we're going to talk about. So at the basics, you need an internet home, which includes your website, your landing pages, your CRM or email marketing tools. You need a prospect or a customer contact list and a way to email them. That's your CRM and email marketing tool. You need a way to share files, so some sort of file sharing tool, a way to organize your team and tasks, and you need a way to track your financials and your invoice. So it starts with making a requirements list. Now, this cartoon is an age-old cartoon in the software world with people like me, and it's probably a little too small to see those words again, but basically it talks about requirements. You know, what do you want to do now that you can't do? Who needs to use the tool? What are the tasks they need to perform? Do you want it on mobile or desktop? These are the questions you should be thinking of when you say, hey, I need a new way to track prospects for my salespeople. Those might be all the questions that you ask. And those questions, when you're making those requirements lists, are just heard so differently from so many different people. So I'll just give a couple examples. The top left says how the customer explained it. Okay, they think they want to swing with 3 seats and stacked on top of each other. The second thing says how the project leader understood it. Okay, there's a swing, but it's hanging from 2 different branches. And so on and on, how the analyst designed it, how the programmer wrote it, how the business consultant described it, glowing chair, on and on and on. So you can see the path there. And in the bottom right corner, it says what the customer really needed was just a simple old tire swing. Okay, can I please slow down a bit? Yes, I will slow down. Do you have any preference on an internet home? I'm going to have to ask you to explain that a little more, an internet home. I'm going to talk about WordPress later. I'm not sure if you're asking about a host or not. Do I recommend Microsoft or Apple for business? So that's such a religious question, and because I'm a real tech nerd, you guys, this is where this answer comes from. I actually have both, and I think you can do amazing things with both in your business. If you are not super techy and you're just starting out, I love, love, love the Mac platform, the Mac-iPhone combination, because you can just do so much with both devices. They just sync so nicely. They, knock on wood, don't break as often. The Apple tech support is super helpful. So I think Apple is a great way to go. I also, right now, I'm working on a really powerful Dell desktop because there are things that I do on my Dell, there's things that I do here in my office where I'm sitting right now that are different. I have some different video editing software on here and whatnot. So you need to kind of think about your needs, and really you're not going to go wrong either way. And neither of those companies are paying me to say that in either way. So Wix or WordPress, definitely WordPress, and I'm going to get to that screen. Okay, so online marketing needs. Let me just start with this picture. I want to frame it up for you. There's 3 levels of what I'm looking at here. The left column says, are you just starting your business? The middle column says, are you making $20,000 to $200,000 a year? And the far right column is if you're greater than $200,000. So I just used that scale to kind of describe, to kind of put you in a framework and make some assumptions about what your business needs are. So in the online marketing world, if you're just starting, all you really need to be doing is collecting your leads, collecting an email, right? Emailing them back, having an internet home, right? A website, an address to send people to, and to start to sell online. When you move over into the middle column, you started to sell online now, you're starting to get some more volume in your leads. You really just want to start automating more, and really probably automating into tighter segments. So you start to need a little more advanced email marketing tool. So you can say, oh, here's a list for my customers, here's a list for my prospects, or even here's a list for my prospects who are in category A and category B. You also may begin offering online programs yourself in the middle column, you know, a membership site or an online course. So there's a little more advanced needs there. When you get to the far right column, you're scaling. You need to be able to handle volume. You, of course, need to be able to further segment the data. You're going to want more advanced programs and more specialists, because you don't want to be bogged down by that volume. You want to be able to really mine your data. Like, there's gold in your data, your next lead, your next sale, you know, what your customers want. So just to handle that higher volume of data, you're going to want more advanced systems. Okay, so be thinking as you're watching this on kind of which of those categories you fall into. Rule number 2 is that you do need to pick a good tool, okay? So technology is, let me read this quote by Steve Jobs. Technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people, that they're basically good and smart, and if you give them tools, they'll do wonderful things with them, right? So you've probably got a pretty talented team working for you, and once you get to this level in your business where you're thinking about technology tools, you do want to pick a good tool. You don't want to pick something that breaks all the time. You don't want to pick something that's inefficient. You got talented people. You want them to stay working with you. You want them to care that, you know, you've invested in them and that you're making them more efficient and more profitable for you. So we want to pick a good tool. It also must be scalable or easily replaceable, right? So when you pick a technology, how rapidly are you going to go from column 1 to column 2 to column 3? I mean, sometimes in the online world, you can scale so rapidly. A side story is that when I started my Firefighter Wife blog, I put my server down one weekend because we started selling these little Fire Wife decals that go on the back of a car, and it literally like bogged down my server. And I was like about to have a heart attack, and I'm like, wow. First I was excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're selling that many decals. But on the other hand, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a million customer support emails because nobody can get to the website. So I have a saintly server hosting company, and I swear this guy I use never sleeps, and within 2 hours he had upgraded my server to a higher bandwidth server so that all the traffic that was coming in could handle it. You've probably seen those Super Bowl commercials, right, where people are like waiting for the orders to come in, and then they come in, and then they start cheering, and suddenly they come in so fast and everything goes down, right? This is what you want to avoid. This quote from Bill Gates is just so funny. 640K ought to be enough for anybody, right? So I think that was all the way back in 1981 is what that says. So even the smartest of the smartest tech people, we think that we've gone far enough, and we probably haven't. So make sure that you're picking a solution that is going to grow with you. Okay, this is an important one as well. Make sure you're picking a solution that's supported well. So here's how you can, as you're looking at technology choices, here's how you can sort of sleuth out and see what the support's going to be like. Number one, you should test it. Before you even buy, like if you're buying a more expensive piece of software, you should submit a ticket to the support desk and see how they interact with you. How do they get back to you? How fast do they get back to you? Do they answer your question well? You can look in their forums. Are there recent helpful comments in the forum? Today, a lot of them have their own Facebook groups. Is it an active user community in the Facebook group? Just this week, I was having an issue with a plugin to Shopify, and the actual owner of the Shopify plugin in the group I'm in private messaged me and dug into the back end of my system for me. So I think that is phenomenal customer support. And then check the support hours and process, right? Is it by chat? Is it by email? Is it by phone? What are their time zones? It's definitely, that's a disappointment down the road if something breaks and you're like, oh my gosh, they're not in the office until 11 a.m. Eastern because they're a West Coast company, and you're sort of stuck for the first 3 hours of your day. All right. So the tool does need to be able to grow with your business. So look at the tiers of their service and kind of understand what differentiates them. So this actually goes hand in hand with the question that was sort of just asked. You might get in at the low end, like I said, $20, $29 a month or whatever, and you might have to upgrade already the next month, or you might be 6 months or 12 months down the road, but you just need to know that there is an upgrade option. And to understand, well, what's really going to push me over the edge and need to upgrade, just look at the differences between what's listed on, usually the pricing page kind of has these tiers like that on their website. Usually I can tell right away how they're charging. And I'll look at a couple different companies and see, are they all charging the same way? So email marketing providers, one of the ways that they tier up, and charge differently is by the number of emails you send per month and by the number of contacts that you keep in the system. So think about that, like, well, I've got 1,000 contacts now. How quickly am I going to outgrow that, and when am I going to need to kind of level up to the next level? This is just all part of the learning experience as you look at the technologies that you need. Now, to answer that, do I think you should spend as much as you can afford rather than going down the cheap route? The cheap route, like, you want your business to grow, right? So nobody wants to build a business and think, well, I'm just going to stay right here. So we're all hoping for growth. And what I like to do is when you pick a company that has tiers like this, you can start at the lower end, and that's more affordable, obviously, for where your business is starting, but it easily gives you the options to scale up. If you go with a cheap route where there's only a cheap route, then the cost of changing, now you're talking about exporting and re-importing your data and training up your team on a new system, you have to start factoring that cost. So I like to pick a solution that might be a little more expensive up front, but it's going to give me room to grow. Okay, you want to pick a solution that's available on the platforms you need. So somebody already asked me about Mac or PC, and there's my fun photo on that nerd, pretty boy. Think about how you want to access it. So there are definitely some programs that are only Mac or only PC. There's some programs that are all in the cloud, and there's some programs that you have to install locally. Right now, I'm in a place in my work that I try to avoid anything that I have to install locally at all because it's a detriment to my work style. I want to be able to work from the hockey rink while I'm waiting on my son's practice, and I don't want to have to be like, oh, I can't do that now because it's back at my home computer. You think about the mobile accessibility, and the trick on mobile accessibility is sometimes the features on mobile, it's like not as fully featured, right? So test it out on mobile when you're doing the demo. Some things really are only meant to be done on a full computer, a full browser, full keyboard, a full window. So just keep that in mind. Don't ban all the software developers of the world, because really not everything's meant to be done on mobile. But think about what your needs are there. What do I need to access quickly mobile, but what can I sit down at a computer and do I need to be able to do it from any computer? Okay, so now I want to kind of look at kind of the best of breed tool choices for each of these levels of business. So I'm going to work backwards through this roadmap. So in this roadmap, I took our 3 levels, just starting 20 to 200 and 200. I said to about 1 million. That's such a subjective number. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. It's a subjective number. So some people might be at 2 million and be okay there. Some of you might get to 300,000 and be like, whoa, I'm going to outgrow this column. But at a high level, we're going to walk through this. And actually, I'm going to walk backwards. I'm going to start with the easy first. We're going to do financials, then team management, and then we're going to get into online marketing, because most likely that's where a lot of people have questions. Okay, so financial tools. If you're just starting, you absolutely need to invest in this tool. Now, you can just send invoices with PayPal and manage things in a Google Sheet if you'd like. But again, with the message, you want to grow your business. So starting with something like FreshBooks or QuickBooks Online is going to get you a head start. You can start small with a small package and upgrade. I really believe that these tools have come a long way. This used to be one that you used to have to install on your computer, and now you really can access it through the cloud. And even your accountants, right, can have a special accountant access into those. So I'm a big fan of these tools online. There are others, but the nice thing about QuickBooks, I know that there's some pains with it, but QuickBooks has integrations to everything. It's been around the longest. It's a long-time player. That's what makes me a fan of QuickBooks. Okay, let's talk about team management. I could summarize this whole slide with one word: Google Apps for Business. I guess one tool, Google Apps for Business. When I worked in corporate, there was a lot of hesitation to use Google because, oh, our data is going to leak, and Google's sniffing all of our data, and it's just not secure enough. And honestly, now that I'm outside the corporate walls and using these tools, I feel like a lot of corporations are probably spending a lot of extra time and money on things that they don't need to be spending time on, because you can do things so rapidly in Google Apps for Business, and it is very scalable. I would venture to say you will probably never outgrow this. Starting with your company email, user management, even inside your user management, right, you have security and protection that you can limit. If an employee leaves your company, you can immediately turn off all their access to all your Google Apps for Business tools and their email. You don't lose their emails, so their emails stay within your business, and you as the manager have access to them, so you don't lose any history of communications with clients or anything to that effect. So it's very fully featured. File sharing is amazing. Calendars, of course, Google seems to have topped the charts on calendar sharing, team calendars, and all those aspects. Now, there are other file management tools as well. Dropbox is great, is another one that I like. But really, Google has just, once you start putting everything else inside Google, it just makes sense to sort of have your files there. Along with, right, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, all these. That was really the reason, like, my business started on Dropbox and we moved to Google, and the sharing of documents like that, so that maybe you start drafting out a letter and your assistant comes in and makes some tweaks, uses some comments, makes some suggestions, and you both are sort of co-editing this document together until you bring it to completion. Really, really a big time saver. Task and project management, there are a lot of tools here, and I don't think anyone is in the front, but Asana, Trello, and Basecamp are 3 examples. And really, this is a great example of where I say it's not about the tool, but it's about your need and your process. So you absolutely need to have a good business process and a reason to be using these tools to move into them, or you're just going to overwhelm yourself with all the crazy fun features that those 3 tools have trying to manage your business. Okay, any questions? Because now we're going to go into online marketing, and that's where it gets really fun. No? Let me see how I'm doing here on time. Doing okay, Russ?
We're doing fine. We're doing fine.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yes, and I see I'm doing good with the timing. Has anyone ever heard of anyone using OneNote? Yeah, OneNote is a Microsoft tool. So I can't believe I didn't mention Evernote in this presentation. I also am a fan of Evernote, but I use Evernote very personally. OneNote and Evernote are similar tools. I will tell you that the context with which I use Evernote is on my phone. I can keep series of lists and notes. And sometimes, and Evernote goes on computer or phone, right? But it's sometimes that I'm just waiting at the hockey rink, which is a constant place of mine. And I just want to, start typing out an email, or I want to make a quick note. And Evernote is just so fast and simple to get into and organize and keep notes like that managed. So OneNote's very similar. And I've honestly never used OneNote across the Apple platform. So that would be my hesitation with OneNote, is that it doesn't go across both PC and Apple. And since I use both, I really try to find tools that are, agnostic, I guess, technology agnostic, if that's the right way to say that. Okay, so online marketing tools. There's that overwhelming diagram again. There's 3 core questions that you should be asking yourself about online marketing. What tool should I create my website? How do I collect email addresses? And how do I sell something online? Okay, those are really the 3 what we would call use cases or business cases for why you need a technology. So here comes an overwhelming diagram. I tried to not make too overwhelming, but again, I tried to lay out kind of some levels of online marketing, because you probably are going to go out and look at other websites and be like, oh my gosh, I want that. And then you go talk to a web developer and they're like, oh, that's a $25,000 website. And then your sales are deflated and you're like, oh, that's just too bad. Will I ever get there? Well, you can, this is the beauty of literally, like, probably 3 years ago, I wouldn't have even given you the same message. You can build such a beautiful page down at the level 1 level with the tools that are available and not spend $25,000 on a website. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to show you here. So at level 1, if you're just beginning, you really just need a basic landing page and to capture an email address. So one solution that I recommend here is use Entreport. So Entreport is my favorite all-in-one tool that you can design landing pages. It captures the email and it automatically delivers the email sequence. Now, there might be someone else who says, oh, I use Drip, I use ActiveCampaign, I use ClickFunnels, I use Lead Pages. Those are not bad tools. The problem with those tools is that you need a combination of them to make things work, and that just serves as more frustration, more cost per month, more failure points. This is why, even though it's a little more expensive, I really prefer Entreport, because now my customer service team is logging in and they're only going to one place. All my customers are in one place. All of the email traffic is in one place. Like, everything's in one place, and there's a lot to be said for doing it that way. You can also make gorgeous, gorgeous websites and landing pages in Entreport. I believe Entreport starts at $79 a month and scales up from there. So it also fits my category of it'll scale with you, and you can tier up nicely into more features. You can also sell in Entreport, right? So that's one of the limitations of the other tools. You can easily add a Stripe account and sell a $47 PDF or a $900 consulting package. You can sell within the Entreport tool as well. Now, moving to the level 2, you start to get a little more advanced, right? You're not just throwing a landing page out there and collecting email addresses. Now you're like, okay, I'm going to be putting more content out there, and I want it to have a home, and I want it to be organized, and I want to be able to put fresh content out there on an ongoing basis. That's when you need to get to having a website with a blog or articles, and that's really where WordPress comes into play. It can store all your content. Are you a podcaster, everything you write, your videos, and really it's an organized way for somebody to go, hey, I know this guy or gal, and she does a great job, and look at all her expertise. Look at all these categories of things that she knows. And your email opt-ins, your email capture forms are can be built into the website, right? So either you put a button on the website and you link right over to your beautiful Entreport landing page, or you can build a form right into your website that directly links to Entreport as well. So they all start to play together. You can grow with them. The question, my thoughts on free websites. So you can get free WordPress, and I believe it's at WordPress.org, WordPress.com. I always get that confused. There's two ways to buy WordPress. One is to use it basically on WordPress's servers and in a free format, or with a little bit of fee per month. And that's an okay place to start, but you're not going to be able to grow from there. There's limitations to how you can expand a WordPress website, and this applies also to Wix or Squarespace or any of these others. You'll be limited there, and eventually you'll want to move your content into what's called a self-hosted WordPress site, because at that point you can add in plugins, you can add in a storefront, you can add in an online course, and you'll want that kind of expansion. I have another slide coming up on WordPress. I think I'll go deeper. So level 3 out here, and maybe just give me a hands up in the questions if anybody is at this level, but this is when you're at the point that you are selling a recurring membership, you're delivering an online course, you are having maybe like a video series that someone purchases and views through your website. Anything that sort of requires that login and access and get into some private content, that's really out here in level 3. Okay, so those are the levels. I don't know how fast the comments are coming in, but it would be interesting to me if who's ever on can type in, I just use the questions form if that doesn't drive you too crazy, Russ, and just tell me if you're level 1, level 2, or level 3 on your online marketing, and then I'll know who I can talk to more specifically.
No, they can definitely, the audience can definitely do that, Laurie. There is a slight delay, just so you're aware, so it will take everybody just a moment to start giving you that information.
Okay. And while we're waiting, here is the slide on the classic question, and I see this all over the Facebook groups, you guys, WordPress or Wix or Squarespace or what should I do? And everybody has good intentions here. Everybody's trying to be helpful. Can I just say, from both a marketing and a technology perspective, WordPress is the platform you want to be on. It's designed to be scalable and have long-term growth. By the way, you're probably going to read these same marketing words on both Wix and Squarespace, but I'm telling you from personal experience that it is going to be more scalable. You're going to have integration to all platforms. You're going to have the largest amount of kind of like tech people available to support you on WordPress, and the largest amount of apps and plugins on WordPress. Even big businesses are starting to run their sites on WordPress, and there's some good reasons. Because it's faster to maintain, it's faster to develop on, it's easier to maintain. In contrast, like in my corporate world, we never developed on WordPress. We were always developing custom software that would take months and months and years to roll out. And really now WordPress has come a long, long way, and you're able to do so much on it. Right on the edge of 1 and 2, level 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys. So a good mix of 1s and 2s. Okay, so which theme? So now once you get WordPress, right, now that's the question, like what theme are you using? What plugins are you using? There's so many choices. Again, like I said, it's a very fragmented market. So I want to just direct you guys to a theme that I know you can grow with and live with for a long time. It's not free, but it's not super expensive. And if you find a good web developer, like my team, we give you the theme along with it because it's such a good platform to develop on. So Divi is like a drag and drop. Let's see, can I think of another drag and drop system? No, I can't. Not right now, not off the top of my head. Divi is like a drag and drop system where you can say, I'm going to drag a picture here. I'm going to drag I guess sort of like PowerPoint. That would be a good example. I'm going to drag a header here. I'm going to drag a form here. I'm going to drag a text box here. And you can make gorgeous, beautiful landing pages right in your own WordPress site using the Divi theme. For a while, I was having to change themes every year or so because we were just outgrowing them. They would get clunky and they wouldn't be updated, and then they would break our site. And we moved to the Divi theme over a couple years ago now, and we've been super, super happy with that, and that's what we develop all of our clients' websites on. So if you're just starting, start there. The free themes on WordPress, they look really nice, and you're like, oh, I'm going to start and just use this free theme, and there's thousands and thousands of them, and it looks great. But then you sort of start it, and you put your stuff, and you're like, oh, this doesn't look like the example did. Why does it look like the example? Because there's a whole lot of massaging of graphics and spacing and whatnot that you need to do to kind of bring that up to par. And eventually you're going to go, well, I want to put a widget right in here. And then your theme is going to be sort of locked in, and you're not going to be able to put a widget right in there. And that's the beauty of Divi, is that you can really drag and drop and put things anywhere you'd like, okay? Related to that, if anybody knows about Thrive Leads, so I'm a big fan of Thrive Leads because of the integration between the website and any single other email solution that you have. So Thrive Leads is a plugin, and when you go to a site, and sometimes there's a pop-up to add your email address, and sometimes there's it's inline in the article, and sometimes it's below the article, and sometimes it's always at the top of the screen, and there's lots of ways to kind of collect an email address. So Thrive Leads is the tool that lets you do that. So no matter what you pick, I encourage you to keep your WordPress platform and plugins up to date. Have a WordPress maintenance contract in place. Otherwise, these tools do change rapidly, and you might get 6 months, 12 months down the road with this gorgeous website that you've been loving and adding all your content to over and over, and suddenly you wake up one morning and it doesn't work. And it could be because WordPress updated something automatically, or one of your plugins updated something automatically, and now you're going to be paying expediting fees to some technical person to kind of dive in and figure out what broke and fix it. But if you have a maintenance contract in place, you can keep it, you can just sleep with peace of mind and not have to worry about that. Okay. Collecting, managing, sending emails. So I talked about, if you're just starting, you guys, MailChimp is a great, simple, low-cost solution. Like I have nothing against MailChimp. It integrates easily into your WordPress site. It's easy to migrate from when you're ready. And really, if you're making an online sale, though, you sort of need a solution that you can grow into, and you need a minimal set of tools, not like 17 different ones. Like that's what we're trying to go for here, is not have, well, here's my MailChimp, and here's my PayPal, and here's my WordPress, and and here's my lead pages form, and oh, by the way, here's my my social media management over here, right? Like it just starts to get overwhelming. So that's why I keep mentioning Ontraport, and why I'm such a big fan of this as an all-in-one tool. So I already kind of mentioned that, but here's an example of a landing page, sales page that we did for one of my clients. You can go to mybookofprayer.com and check it out. It's live right now. This page, it's quite gorgeous, if I might say so myself, and we literally put it together in about an hour. And I will tell you, the longest part of putting a page together like this is the copy, getting the right words, getting the right headlines and the right words on the buttons. It's not building it. You can build it quite rapidly in a tool like Ontraport. It automates the emails, it automates sending the emails, it's collecting the sales, it's managing the sales. It's also connected to their membership site. So even if you don't have one now, it gives you the ability to grow into a membership site. It also can do fulfillment of physical products, right? So we'll be shipping these books based on fulfillment records inside Ontraport. And as I said before, it's just one place for your customer support team to log in and kind of do everything. So I'm not even a certified Ontraport person or anything like that. It's just that I've tried a ton of different tools, and Ontraport by far is my favorite on the market, and has been for a couple years now. Okay, so the Multitool Solution is, right, the landing page creator, the email automation, a separate merchant payment gateway. Ontraport also builds in your merchant payment and gateway. Separate place for your online course, right? And then it all gets glued together by a tool like Zapier, which you don't have to know about if you don't know what that is. So there's just too many breakage points here, right? Like somebody's like, well, I bought the course, but I can't get into the course platform, and I didn't get my email receipt, and things are just coming from so many different directions. So it's really hard to serve well. So if somebody's out there saying like, oh, I use Samcart, or I use, whatever tool you hear that everybody's out there talking about because they go through promotion cycles, make sure you're not having FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, that, oh, if I had that, I could have this one feature. You can do almost anything in any kind of software when you have your business processes designed. Okay, I'll come back to that question in a second. Here's just an example of contact details in Entreport, right? So we can see, we have an entire contact log of every email they got, even below this is every single page they visited on our website. You can see their purchases, you can see their memberships, you can see all the ways they're tagged, all the email sequences they're on. So it's pretty darn advanced. What would you say is second in place to Entreport? Okay, so it's an apples to oranges comparison, right? So tools that are comparable to Entreport are Infusionsoft primarily. And Infusionsoft is not a bad tool. I just think Entreport leapfrogged them and made the user interfaces so much easier to use in Entreport. And they also have like a drag and drop builder for all those landing pages, and just their logic flow. Basically, Entreport, they just came along later, and Infusionsoft has a bunch of old technology they sort of have to build on because they have so many customers out there to maintain. And so Entreport, I think, is able to just move a little faster and be a little more dynamic right now. If you don't want to use an Entreport, then, this is an apples and an oranges. Like literally just start on MailChimp. I know MailChimp is fine. If all you want is email marketing, MailChimp is fine. But if you think you're ever going to sell an online course, sell an online, digital product of any kind, sell a membership, I encourage you to dive straight into Entreport, because by the time you design your sales page somewhere else, or even design your email opt-in somewhere else and connect it to another email opt-in system, and pay somebody to help you connect that all up, Entreport is going to make you go faster in your business. And you're probably talking about a $50 a month difference at most, maybe even a $30 a month difference at most. And if you think about what you're paying somebody to kind of build across all the different tools, then that's why I can justify something like Entreport, which is what this cost comparison chart was all about. Okay, my gosh, it's already 4:47. I gotta hurry. So, okay, we talked about apples and oranges, right? Some people will say, well, what about lead pages? Like, well, lead pages is great, but it doesn't do all the same things, right? Like, lead pages makes great lead pages, but then you still need an email system behind it. So just be sure when you're talking to tech people and talking to others that you're really comparing apples to apples. Okay, so here's our goals, and just want to make sure that we're all remembering what our goals were, because I just got really techie and I just talked about tools, and I said we weren't supposed to talk about tools so much, but that's what this presentation is about. Now I want to roll into the topic of finding good tech people, but let me stop and answer this question. My web designer handles this aspect of my business, and my online catalog is via my business software. I'm looking for information on different and creative ways of marketing and tracking it. So you'd have to tell me what your business software is to help me answer that. So it sounds like you already have a pretty advanced system for doing online sales. I'd have to know what that is to kind of give you some ideas. But really anything can start with a lead page and drive somebody to a sales page, right? So I also have a Shopify store for some physical products, and sometimes we will make a fancy lead page featuring an item, just to feature that item in a real nice fancy way. And then when they click through to buy, they just end up on that item in the Shopify store. So I don't know if that answers that or not, but I'd like to hear what your software is. Okay, so here we are again, back to good tech people. You guys, go download this right now and spend tonight until midnight learning how to do these tools yourself, because honestly, they're not super hard. There's usually pretty good tutorials out there. And if you have any ounce inside you that likes playing around with tech, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs do, you're going to want to do that. I'm going to encourage you to find a balance there. Your work is possibly more valuable on your business domain, your expertise, getting the next client. What I want you to understand is you need to understand the tool enough to know what value it brings your business and kind of the potential of what it can do for you. So when you start talking to your tech person and they start saying, no, I don't think it can do that, you need to be smart enough to tell your tech person, well, no, I think it can, and why, right? Because some tech people, if you don't find the right tech person, and that's what this section is about, they're just going to want to cross things off the list and move on. Because tech people aren't necessarily business and marketing people. They're just, okay, implemented it, that's not, it's done. And you're going to ask for a feature that they're going to sit there in the back of their mind and think, ooh, that's complicated. I don't really want to work on that project. And you know what? It doesn't matter if your tech person wants to work on it or not, right? Like if it's going to bring value to your business, you want to do it. So you need to know enough about the potential of your tool investment that you can outsmart your tech team just a little. Does that make sense? Don't drive them crazy, please, but just talk intelligently. So a good tech person, responsive, ideally available in your time zone. Doesn't mean they have to sit in your time zone, but available then. You need to find somebody who just loves to nerd out on tech, right? That it's their love language, they do it regularly, it's not something they dabble in. And then ideally, you find a tech person who has a business perspective too. When you're hiring a tech team, always work under a contract. If you're doing a big launch and you have dates, that you need stuff ready by, put the dates in the contract and have consequences for missing them. But I should also say this, also have bonuses for hitting them or hitting them early. Check references, look at examples of their work, set clear expectations at the beginning, right? The requirements page that we looked at earlier, always write down what you want and work from that. That's rule number one, because if you just dive in and kind of start implementing the tool without knowing where you're going to end up doing rework. And it's going to drive you crazy, it's going to cost more, and it's probably going to drive your tech team crazy as well. So wireframe designs are a great idea here. Agency or freelancer, it depends on what you're looking for. With an agency, it's going to be more expensive. There's a little more moving parts because maybe there's an account manager and a project manager and a tech person. But you're going to have access to more experts, and you're going to have backup people. The reason it's important to have backup people is over here in this freelancer column, the win the lottery risk. We used to call that got hit by a bus problem, and that's not just so nice. It's the, if they win the lottery and walk off the job and never want to write software again, then you don't have a plan B if you're using a freelancer because they don't have a backup. Now freelancers can be more affordable. It's nice to have a single point of contact, but you're sort of only within their experiences. So I kind of like to use a blend. I would say my business is not a full-fledged agency, but it's not a single freelancer. We kind of have a cohort of freelancers that we pull from, so we kind of fall in the middle. Okay, where to find these freelancers? Number one, just go to your network. You're going to get referrals from people, and that's going to be the best place to find the best quality people. You can find them on job boards like this. If you have a guru in your team who's like, ooh, I love the tech stuff, hire somebody to help you implement a new WordPress theme, but then teach your person on your team who's a tech nerd how to use it. Does that make sense? Okay. How much should I pay for it? Okay, so look at the ranges, guys. A new website can be from $500 to $10,000 or probably more. I was just given ranges. A sales funnel from a couple thousand to 15,000. Set up an online course, a couple thousand to 25,000. Like think that because the market is new, because it's sort of like the wild, wild west out there, you're going to see prices all over the place. So make sure that you comparison shop. Okay, see how many slides this is taking to get through this? I just want to summarize real quickly and say, remind us, don't lead with a tech tool decision. I want you to lead with your business needs. Select tools that are going to take you far. The cost of change is high and just inconvenient. And you really do need to have a responsive tech guru in your back pocket because one of these days you're going to sell too many stickers on your website and it might blow up. And that's a good problem to have, but you want to make sure that you're covered. All right, so this is the roadmap. Think about where you fit on the roadmap, and these are your next steps. Make a list of your current biggest needs. Decide where you're going to fit on that technology roadmap, and then explore tools based on the criteria I shared here, right? About how well are they supported? What does their tier up system look like? What are the competitors offering? How long have they been around? Are their forums active? Think about all those criteria as you're exploring and deciding on which tool. And I do have some templates and tools out there at lorimercercto.com/tech-start-here that you can download, including that roadmap that was kind of tiny to read. Okay, let me answer some questions here. What about using a virtual office for your business? Do you use one? Virtual office. And that is such a broad term. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like, my whole team is virtual, and we do everything inside Google Apps for Business and Asana and Entreport, really, in our WordPress website. So really, we are completely virtual. I have one person here locally who's my personal assistant who does some more hands-on stuff. Okay, I'm going to look at this question real quick. We're almost out of time, but go ahead and drop any more questions there. I do not sell online. I just have an online catalog, consignment store. Oh, marketing. Okay, I mean, hey, it does apply for you, because I think what you want, like every business, when you say you want to market online, is you want to attract people to your website, and you want to be able to market to them on an ongoing basis. So you need to be building an email list, and then you need to be dripping valuable content to them over that email, and driving them to your online catalog as well. So it's for brand awareness, it's for growing your list. Yeah, I think that, I hope that answers your question. So these tools definitely apply to you for marketing online. Like your office meetings in person. No, we meet all on Zoom. And my one person who's here locally, I do let her just come to my house, but I screen so thoroughly for that person in that job. I do have a P.O. box for mailing address, yes.
Laurie, I can't believe that you managed to get so much in within 60 minutes. That is unbelievable.
Thanks for that.
Through so much crucial information and some fantastic tips, ideas and advice, and I know that everybody has benefited greatly. I've worked, I don't know if pleasure is the right word, but I've worked with a number of technology consultants over the years, and much of the advice, suggestions has been somewhat ambiguous, to say the least. And I think you've really been able to give us some fantastic information, and thank you so much for this. Is absolutely amazing. In fact, somebody has just put in there a comment that this was awesome, and I think they speak for all of us. So thank you so much. So everybody, recordings of this session and all the others over the course of the virtual summit this week will be emailed, and will be available to view again here on the Bright Talk platform. If you haven't already done so, please make sure that you watch the earlier sessions from the virtual summit. They're available on demand. Please also remember to visit napw.com for details of the many benefits that the membership of NAPW brings. Thank you once again to Laurie for this session and her previous webinar, and to everybody for joining us, not only this afternoon, but over the course of the last 3 days. I look forward to welcoming you and to working with you on future NAPW sessions. So on behalf of NAPW, thank you to everybody.
Thank you.